So this is a new what if that I've really been working on, and I really love the idea of. So basically, this is my first time recording this, and let's get started, guys. So basically, you're probably wondering if you're part of my channel or the part of a channel that likes the Young Justice what ifs. I do, and those Young Justice Part 2s and Part 3s I was going to make before this what if have been delayed because I have deleted like minutes of the video. For some reason, my computer was like messing around. So basically, I'm gonna have to re-upload those videos, or like re-record them later on this month, or like later on this pretty much week. So basically, from now on, I'm just gonna be doing, random what ifs like I've been doing. Just, My Hero, Young Justice, Invincible what ifs, stuff like that. So yeah. So let's get started, guys. So basically, after this video, I actually am going to be doing a lot of movie type what ifs. So basically, what I'm going to do is going to be what if Deku was in certain movies or certain things. So I'm going to be doing what if Deku was in Jurassic Park. What if Deku was, what if Deku was in Jurassic Park? What if Deku was, actually guys, so basically the only what ifs on movies I'm going to be doing are probably going to be what if Deku was in Jurassic Park and what if Deku was in Harry Potter. So I'm basically just going to be making every part one based off the first or second, like certain, like part 5 would be the 5th Harry Potter movie based off that. Basically, each episode is going to be based off that certain movie. So basically, I'm going to be making a certain amount. So I'm basically, by the time I get to part 2, because I've already seen the first 2, now I'm just got into Harry Potter because I went to Universal for the first time. So basically, let's get started, guys, without any more talking. So for the established what if for the basis, basically Deku, for quirks. Let me explain how quirks would work in the Harry Potter world, since quirks are a thing. Basically, quirks would still be evolution. Nothing would really change about that. They would just come into the world like original. But quirks would also change the wizarding world as well. But the quirk world would be exactly the same. It's just that wizards would still keep their secret. They wouldn't come out to the rest of the world, even though people have quirks and superhuman abilities now. They still don't. Pretty much the wizard community still thinks, quirk people can't handle magic. Now, basically, people still call, normal people with quirks muggles, even though muggles are technically semi as strong as, wizards, because they have quirks and they don't have to enchant spells at all because they can just use their abilities. But basically, wizards with quirks are way more powerful than normal wizards, unless the normal wizard has a bunch of skill and years and centuries of practice. And basically, it's like a head wizard. Then they got like a little bit of skill on a, really good wizard, but not enough to actually go up against a wizard. So basically, for this, what if Deku would be born with a quirk? Now, this quirk would be called Magic Flow. Basically, the quirk would be able to basically give Deku the ability to use magic without a wand and shoot it out of any part of his body. And also, sometimes he doesn't even have to enchant the words to use the spell. But if he doesn't enchant the words, his spell does go out of control and can be very dangerous and flow at certain areas and certain points. Basically, it's like a random shot. So if he uses his magic without a wand with using his quirk, he can basically destroy his body, kind of like One for All, and basically enhance his strength with a magic spell that can basically, he can basically mimic One for All, but basically it still hurts him. No, it doesn't hurt him. It basically just makes it way more spirally and can pretty much shift the strength throughout his body randomly. So he can have for like a couple minutes have strength in his arms and his chest, then they could just move down to the lower part of his body. So basically, Deku has to be very careful to use his wand or not to use, to use his quirk. So basically, his quirk is basically just being able to control magic with his hands and move his mind without a wand, and also not say pretty much enchantments. Now the spells, if he does say a spell and he does focus, he can make a focus blast or spell with his bare hands, but half of the time it doesn't really work very well. Basically, his magic just is too powerful and can spiral out of control and basically kill people if he doesn't use a wand or he doesn't use his power or his quirk properly. So basically, Deku is pretty powerful in the wizarding world because his quirk mainly focuses around magic. Because mainly when Muggles or when wizards in long line of family just they just have quirks out of nowhere, or their child just has quirks out of nowhere, they still accept them because they're still wizards and also they're stronger than normal wizards. So they basically, some wizard parents actually do pray their kids. Some of them do pray their kids actually are born with quirks, at least strong quirks, or not very noticeable quirks like mutations and stuff like that. Now mutation quirks, if a wizard is still a wizard and has a mutation quirk, they aren't banned from. They could still be accepted into Hogwarts. Like it's no big deal. But the only thing about Hogwarts is you can't use your quirk in the school grounds or without without a license or a pass or some sort of order from one of the head, you know, pretty much wizards or mistresses or having some sort of license. So basically, quirks are slightly, very banned. It's kind of like having a phone on school grounds, is something like that, but not too dire. You can get like suspended for using your quirk on Hogwarts, but stuff like that. So basically, Deku is born a wizard like Harry Potter, and he is the boy that lived, plus the only wizard in his family with a quirk that was born out of nowhere. So basically, Deku was born the same way as Harry Potter, and his parents were killed by Voldemort. Basically, him having the same scar on his forehead, and him being the boy that lived. That was switched a couple of years later, and actually, Deku is being raised or was adopted by his parents, pretty much cousins or whatever. So basically, they would actually be switched, and basically, for Harry, basically Deku will be living with, let's say, just a random anime family that would just look like the, Harry Potter's, Harry's family. They are abusive, not abusive, but just, you know, downright bad, pathetic family. Like those chunky little, bro. I really just wanted to punch all of them in the face because they were just the worst characters in Harry Potter ever. Like I'm pretty sure Malfoy was better than them. Like Malfoy had a better personality and everything than them, because I'm pretty sure Malfoy would actually be a better parent than either one of the family in Harry Potter was raised with. So it personally for me, it's just for me. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that Deku would be raised just like the same as Harry Potter and would have been, well, treated like nothing. Until one day, Deku would have been going towards the door and would have grabbed a note. And this would be the first note from Hogwarts Deku would ever get. Now, basically, we skip, and basically his parents do the same thing, locking up the doors and also moving towards the, pretty much, what was it, the water tower, and eventually Hagrid shows up, basically saving Deku from his adopted parents or his cousins or whatever. So basically, he is saved and taken to, well, Hogwarts, not only Hogwarts, is taken to the wizarding world and is told that he's a wizard. Now, basically, at this point, Deku would actually be treated very badly more than Harry because his quirk would be delayed because of his magic abilities, or his, not magic ability, just him being a wizard. So basically, he would still be the boy that lived, but he would also be a quirk. So basically, Deku wouldn't really have his quirk yet, but he would get his quirk about the same day that he was picked up by Hagrid. Now Hagrid would have taken him to the wizarding pretty much area and would have taken him on a shopping spree. Basically, Harry would have gone to the Deku would have gone to the bar, and basically, he would have been told about the legend of him being the boy that lived, and basically, he would have gone to the pretty much, I think, troll or elf bank. Don't really know which one they are called, but he would have gone to the bank and he would have gotten his parents' money. Now he would see that his parents had a lot of moolah in the wizard, pretty much economy or the wizard world. So basically, he would have been, going on a shopping spree, and he would have gotten he would have gotten a green owl instead of a white owl. And basically, this green owl would be basically the same owl Harry would have, just with some sort of pretty much permanent color changing spell done on it. So basically, Deku would have a green owl, and he would also have all the other items that he got. Him trying out wands, and eventually him coming across one wand in particular. This wand being the same type of wand that Harry got in original, pretty much lore or canon, but the wand looking a lot more different. Basically, this would be Deku's wand. Now, it would work the same way, his original wand or original Harry Potter's wand would work, and it'd basically be sort of the same. It would just be the same, just with it being green and in this type of design. Now, this original wand would still exist, just it being a different wand than Harry's. So basically, or Deku. So I might say Harry and Deku multiple times, and I might get them mixed up. So basically, Deku would have gone, picked up all the stuff he would got. Now, basically, Deku would basically, go on a shopping spree, and basically, eventually he would, well, walk around and eventually come across more shops, and it would have his wand, his his familiar or his pet, and basically would have had his luggage, and would have gotten all the stuff that Harry would have gotten in the original. Now, basically, he would have picked up also some candy as well, and he would have gotten pretty much with Hagrid back to the bar, and basically he would have been told the whole story that Harry was originally told as hot as pretty much Hagrid and Deku or Midoriya or Izuku. I'm supposed to say. I'm actually just gonna say Harry or Deku. When Deku and Hagrid are talking, pretty much Deku asked, pretty much sorry, pretty much Hagrid is talking about Voldemort or the man or the person that must not be named. So basically, Deku says, "Is he the man that killed my parents and gave me this?" Pointing to the scar on his forehead. Basically, Hagrid would have said yes, and pretty much, well, Deku would have the same conversation with with pretty much Hagrid that Peter had in original. Now, basically, Peter would have been basically, talking to Hagrid for a good amount of time. Basically, we would have had a flashback with pretty much Deku when he was younger with his parents being killed. Now, basically, Harry would have seen that was told that his mother put a spell on him to keep him safe, and that's how he got the scar on his forehead. Now, basically, Deku would have been shocked, but after that moment, Deku would have actually been, would have been brought back, not brought back, would have been brought to, well, the train station and given his luggage, and basically was told to go to a certain number that didn't even was on the map or didn't even exist. But I was told to go there anyways, and you'll find the way. Some people might guide you down there. Basically, Harry said, "What do you mean?" And Hagrid said, "Go, go, go now." And pretty much, Harry or Deku running off with his cart or his luggage. Now, Deku would have been running down with his cart and his luggage, and would have came across, well, pretty much, would have came across Kirishima actually. Now, Kirishima would be replacing, I think it was replacing basically Ron, but Ronald, yeah, Ronald Weasley, yeah. So basically, Kirishima would be replacing Ronald Weasley. Now, Kirishima wouldn't be poor per se. Basically, Kirishima's parents would actually be a long line of quirked, um, basically be a long line of quirked wizards. Now, they would be poor in the wizard world, but extremely kind of, semi-rich in the real world. Pretty much, they would be middle class in the real world, or in the Muggle world, or Quirk world. Now, basically, his parents would have the same quirks, same powers, and same everything, just them being wizards and them having the same type of wizard-like jobs. Now, basically, Kirishima would have been the same, and nothing really physically different would change about Kirishima. It's just that Kirishima would actually still have a quirk. He would still have his original quirk. It's just that he wouldn't really rely on it that much. He would mostly rely on magic more than his quirk, but he would use it then and there. Basically, Kirishima would have met up with pretty much Harry, and they actually would have went to around the train together and would have became friends on the way there. They would have become friends and they would have talked about quirks and stuff like that. Basically, Deku feeling kind of weird and strange on the pretty much ride. Now Harry would have shook it off, or Deku would have shook it off, and basically they would have came across well, and they would have been messing with magic, and mainly Kirishima would be messing with magic, but out of nowhere, basically, who would be taking on I think it was Hermione Ranger would actually be. I was thinking about Ochaku, but I'm gonna be switching it up. It's going to be Momo actually. So Momo's going to be pretty much Hermione Ranger because Momo kind of has a Hermione Ranger type of personality. So basically, Momo would still have quirk parents, meaning that she would be a mudblood. And basically, Momo would have asked for to do some magic. Then let's see it, and basically them having the same type of magic competition. And basically, Kirishima was saying, "Isn't that cool, right?" Pretty much, Momo saying, "Uh huh." So they would have became friends pretty quickly, and eventually they would come across Hogwarts. Now, basically, originally Ron or Kirishima was originally supposed to meet Deku or Harry on the train when all the cards were filled, but basically would meet earlier, meaning that they would become friends earlier. And basically, right until pretty much Momo steps in, Deku would actually told them about how he's the boy that lived. He's Harry Potter, or no, he's Deku. He's Azuka Midoriya. Basically, Azuka Midoriya just being the name of Harry Potter in this world being the boy that lived. Basically, Azuka Midoriya. Basically, Deku's middle name I think would be Potter, or his last name would be Potter. His name that isn't Izuku would be Harry Potter. So Midoriya, Izuku Midoriya, Potter, I think it was. Yeah, either way, one of his name is named Potter. Basically, Izuku Midoriya would be, well, the boy I lived. And basically, uh, pretty much Kirishima would say, "You're the boy that lived. You're the," and basically, he would have been shocked and very much gawking over Deku. So basically, Kirishima asked him, "Do you really have, the scar?" Now basically, Deku would have said, "Yeah," and basically pulling up his hair, showing that he has a lightning bolt type scar. Basically, Ronald or Kirishima would have said wicked, and minutes after that, or seconds after that, the cart lady would come around with snacks or candy. Now, basically, the lady would have asked anything from the trolley. Basically, you Kirishima not having enough coin. Basically, saying, "I'm all, I'm, all." Packaged up. Him taking out a wop of pretty much, I don't even know what, wrapped in saran wrap. And basically, Deku trying to be generous and also having a lot of money, or a lot of, money on his parents' side. Basically, him taking out coins. Like, I mean, legit coin. Basically, taking out saying we'll have the entire trolley. And basically, the lady saying, okay. And pretty much Kirishima and Deku eating good with a lot of candy and stuff. Now, basically, what I'm trying to say for age difference, they're not going to be 16. They're still going to be the same original age that, Harry Potter and how Ronald and, Hermione are supposed to be in the book. So basically, they will be the same age as those characters. I'm just using, this fan art just because it looks good. And also, it's good. So basically, they're just going to look younger, and they're not gonna be 16 or anything like that. And basically, doing this, pretty much they would come across well. And basically, as they were eating, the candy memo was said, "Why are you so?" Pretty much, Deku saying, "So what?" And pretty much, Mama would have said nothing. Basically, her looking around, seeing all the mess of candy and stuff like that. But basically, they would have been toying around with magic, and Mama would have made some sort of, well, basically magic type of hologram type thing. Her making it pretty much a moving um illusion of herself. Basically, herself pretty much running around and punching in the air in front of Deku, pretty much startling Deku. Now Deku would have gotten up, his quirk activating in that second, and basically him shooting out a ball of magic out of his mouth. Basically him screaming a little bit. Now basically a ball of fire would have came out, setting off a seat on the trolley, not a seat in pretty much setting off a piece of candy or a piece of wrapping on fire. Basically Kirishima stomping it out and saying, "What was that?" And Deku said, "I don't know." Basically, Momo not realizing what Deku just did. He used magic with no wand, with his bare, pretty much body, just his body itself. Basically, they would have. Basically, sorry. So basically, they would be, going after the candy, and basically, Deku would have opened up the chocolate frog, the frog jumping out, and pretty much jumping out of the, well, window of the cart or their section. Basically, Harry, taking out his card saying it's Dumbledore, and pretty much Kirishima saying I have about 6 of those, and Deku looking back down towards the card, seeing that Dumbledore's gone, or the picture of the card is gone. Now, basically, Kirishima said you can't expect it to go on all day. Pretty much him going on about, everything else that Ronald was originally talking about. Momo would actually use the same spell, pretty much. Hermione would have used halfway through, pretty much Kirishima trying to use that yellow spell on his pet rat. But basically, wait, no, not pet rat. I think it was something else. Now I'm gonna be changing the pet rat into a pet. Oh, is it a pet lizard? I don't remember the name of those lizards that absorb water in the desert. Those spiky lizards. It's basically that, but just red scales, and it's just a pure red, scaly uh, lizard. And basically, pretty much, Deku would have his glasses would have been fixed. Basically, Deku wearing glasses in this version because I just want him to look as most like Harry Potter as he can. So basically, him having glasses and his glasses being the same type of glasses Harry has, just with them being repaired by a spell. Pretty much, Momo did Akios Reparis. Yeah, I think I said it right. I wrote this pretty weird though. So basically, um, Deku would have gone through the whole entire thing, and basically eventually. Now, basically, Momo was about to leave after using her spell and tell them to change into their robes because they're about to arrive at Hogwarts. Now, basically, her leaving, not saying anything else. Now, basically, Deku would have said, wait, robes? Now, basically, we switch off, and basically, they would have been the train Hogwarts Express 5972 would have arrived at Hogwarts, and pretty much they would have drove in there. Now, Hagrid would have actually been waiting and would have been all along the pretty much sidewalk or the pretty much, area where the train was supposed to drop off their attendants or the, passengers. Basically, everybody would have gotten out, and Deku, Kirishima, and Momo would have gotten out. Pretty much Hagrid would have welcomed Harry. Pretty much Harry saying, "Hey, Hagrid," and Kirishima being amazed at how tall and big, and pretty much just big Hagrid is. Now Hagrid would be about the same size as All Might in anime size, basically, and the same size as Endeavor, not All Might. Basically, him being pretty big. And basically, he would have walked off. Now, basically, him telling the rest of the students to follow him, and them getting onto boats, and then pretty much, well, traveling or pretty much boating towards Hogwarts, watching it, and Deku being amazed at how beautiful it is. And as Deku watching it, that beautiful, iconic Harry Potter music starts blasting. Now we can switch back into Hogwarts. Basically, everybody would have gone into Hogwarts, and basically headmistresses, or one of the headmistresses in a green like dress would have told them welcome to Hogwarts, and before we go on, you all be categorized into your houses: Slytherin, Hogwarts, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw. Basically, Deku obviously will be into, pretty much obviously Kirishima, Deku, and Momo will be into Ravenclaw, and basically them pretty much already being assigned in that category. But basically everybody else, I'm gonna be assigning them into their categories. Now everybody in Class 1A, and also everybody in UA itself is going to be in Hogwarts. So basically, they would have been introduced, and some characters in UA I might keep back into UA. So yeah, so some of the Class 1B characters might stay into the Cork world and not be in the Harry Potter world. But yeah. Now, out of nowhere, a toad jumps out, and basically that whole entire toad situation happens, and pretty much Deku's kind of, shocked by this, but just shrugging it off because, it's magic. Toads are kind of part of the deal. Basically, them being, brought into the main hall, and basically, after the toad situation happened, they would all get escorted into the main hall where everybody else would be sitting down, and basically they would have been escorted in, them sitting down, and them getting ready to be pretty much, put into their houses. When they were walked in, basically Deku would be looking around, seeing flying candles, amazing everything, just seeing his eyes just opening wide, seeing how beautiful Hogwarts is. Now, before they were sat down, they were given their houses, and basically they would be walked towards the hat that would choose their houses. Now, before they began, they would have let Professor Dumbledore say a few words. Now, he would have told them about the rules, but also telling them a third thing about no quirk usage unless you are told to use them to save another person, or you are forced to, and it is a last resort. Or you are, pretty much, well, you're given a pass to use them, and those are very rare. It's basically kind of like a student getting pretty much, well, anything of a big reward or something like that. So basically, it's basically some sort of like name tag, or basically Nicholas, that shows that you have the right to use your quirk on school grounds as many times as you want. Basically, them saying most of the time you'll basically never get that. We went 2 years without anybody ever getting a pass with their quirk, badge. Basically, quirk badges are given to the students that are the most excelling, or show great promise, or just really, really good, and just really, nice and polite and stuff like that. So basically, just teachers' pets. And half of the time, teachers' pets get the quirk, pass. Basically, the quirk pass being pretty rare because it is like 50% of the whole school is quirk people, and the other 50% are like quirkless people. But most of the time, it's like 60% quirked and 50% pretty much the other percent just normal wizards. And basically, for Bakugo would actually be just a wizard, but Bakugo, no, sorry, Bakugo would be a quirk person, but he would keep it a secret and not. He would be, he wouldn't really be a mudblood. He would just be a pure blood wizard born with a quirk, kind of like Deku. So basically, he would not call himself a mudblood, but he actually would never show his quirk off, and actually would have never told anybody that he has a quirk. But him also knowing that he is stronger, being taught in the Wizard Academy in basically power scale. Basically, quirk people with wizards with quirks are stronger than normal wizards, but are not as straight up the bat as skilled as wizards like Dumbledore and stuff like that. So after Dumbledore would say his words, basically about basically some of half of the time no real quirk usage, and same rules for magic still apply. So basically, well, they would be sorted into their houses. Now, basically, Harry and basically Deku, Kirishima, and basic Deku, Kirishima, and Momo would have been set into Hogwarts, and basically for Bakugo would have been set in Slytherin. For Ida would be into Ravenclaw because Ravenclaw's more brains than bronze. Basically, okay, so let's get on the whole UA. Yeah, I needed a list to make this a little bit better. So basically, let's go all the way down. So basically, for Monoma will be in Hufflepuff. For Mina will be in Gryffindor because she's outgoing and also brave. For Suatsume, Hufflepuff. Bakugo, Slytherin. And Toru Akune, or Invisible Girl, will be in, let's say, um, Hufflepuff. Ida, Ravenclaw. Jiro, um, mm, Gryffindor. Denki, Gryffindor. Kirishima, Gryffindor. Karu, Hufflepuff, obviously. Deku, I see Deku's a Hufflepuff, but Deku's very brave. And I know I'm already being Deku, what was it? Gryffindor, but, yeah, Gryffindor. So, uh, Mineta, man. Mineta, I know people give him a lot of backlash, but Mineta, he a weirdo for sure, but he okay. He ain't as bad as other, weirdo anime characters. He ain't as bad as that guy that's always after Goo from Hunter x Hunter. But basically, he will be put into, let's say, I was thinking about, because, like, he's just a pervert. I don't understand, like, what house he should put in. So I'm just going to leave him blank, and you guys can decide what house he should be put in. Now, for Audrey, I'm going to say Gryffindor. And for Sato, Hufflepuff. Zero, Hufflepuff. Shuttle, or pretty much the double arms guy, I would have to say maybe Gryffindor. Todoroki. Let's think about. Let's think about Ravenclaw or Gryffindor, or maybe even Slytherin. But I have to say, Slytherin. Basically, Todoroki's a cold, but he's also very kind deep down inside him. Deck is gonna bring out that part of him doing the Quidditch match later on. But basically, um, Todoroki is gonna be put into basically for this Todoroki goes up. Basically, the hat would have been confused. Basically, not knowing what Todoroki should go into, because Todoroki feels like a Slytherin right now, but if he can get better, he can become more or less a Gryffindor and stuff like that. So I'd have to say Todoroki's gonna be a Gryffindor. I was gonna think Slytherin, but Gryffindor. Now for me, Ravenclaw, and for what was it? Tokiyami, Ravenclaw, Ochaku, and Gryffindor. And she kind of brave. And for Momo, Gryffindor. So all these characters have been named and been put into their house. Now basically, we continue with Deku, Momo, and Kirishima. And basically, the people in Gryffindor being Denki, Denki, I'm a Denki, Mina, Azuku, Kirishima, Momo, Zero's in Gryffindor, and pretty much most of the characters. Only characters that is actually in Slytherin is basically, well, only characters are in Slytherin is actually just Bakugo. So the even is out. I'm actually going to be changing and going to be pitting Double Arms Guy and Slytherin just for, the pit two My Hero Academia characters in Slytherin. Now, basically, Double Arms Guy and Bakugo are going to be in Slytherin, and also, obviously, Monoma, or whoever that guy was, I don't know, Monoma the quirk copying guy, he's gonna be in Slytherin as well. And now he was originally gonna be Malfoy for me, but I wanted to change it up because Bakugo, he feels more like a Malfoy because he is very cocky, and Momoa looks more like Malfoy, and that's more of a Malfoy type of personality. But Bakugo is a little bit more of a better guy. But I might actually pull, Deuce card, and might actually, try to. So, guys, should Bakugo be switched back to some other house? I could probably do that, but tell me. So, tell me, guys. So, basically, let's switch back to the show. I mean, the what? Now, we will continue after the hat ceremony, or them being given their pretty much houses. After the hat ceremony, everybody would sit down and eat pretty much their pretty much, their food, their feast, their dinner. Now, basically, Deku will look in amazement in all the food and meat that is just laid out for all of them to eat and enjoy. Now, when they're sitting down eating pretty much dinner or their feast, basically, Harry would have asked Bakugo's brother. Basically, Bakugo, I'm pretty sure Bakugo doesn't have any siblings, but let's just say a tall teenage-looking boy with just red hair, kind of like in a what was it, Todoroki type hairstyle, just with red hair. Basically, him telling him and Deku asking who was that man talking to, or that man. Basically, he would have said that's Professor Slytherin, not Slytherin. Yes, Slytherin. I don't know. Basically, Professor Snake would be talking to the man with basically I don't even know what he got on his head, but the man that would eventually get folded and laid out by Potter with the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, they would have been talking. Now, basically, they would have been talking about pretty much, why some of the, pretty much wizards are, one of the wizards are very into dark arts, and they've been after the other wizard's job for a very, very long time. Now, as Kirishima's eating his food, out of nowhere, a ghost pops underneath, or pops through the food, basically Kirishima being stuttered, Bakugo, Momo, and also Kirishima's brother, Kirishima and Kirishima's brother being startled. Not Kirishima's brother being startled because he's a second year, but pretty much Kirishima, Deku, and Momo being startled by the ghost. Now, the ghost would have welcomed them into Gryffindor, and basically they would have been flying. And more ghosts would have flown in and would have welcomed the rest of the students. As pretty much Kirishima's brother tells the ghost to have a nice summer, and I'm saying as to you. Pretty much him about to fly off or go off, ghost away or whatever ghosts do in Harry Potter world. Basically, Deku would have, what was it? No, basically, they would have said goodbye. Kirishima before the ghost left would have said, "Hey, I know you. You're Sir Headley Nearless Nicholas." He said, "I bet for Sir Harley, nearly headless Nicholas." Mo would have asked, how do you become nearly headless? Basically, him showing her, and him pointing back his head, pointing sideways in his head, seeing that it was only a piece of muscle or flesh keeping his head still on when he was, So basically, after seeing what the ghost did, basically Kirishima would be, very woozy, and he was not ready for that, and pretty much Momo would have been disgusted. Now, basically, Deku would have been pretty much neutral, but still being intrigued. And also him still having an excitement in his eyes, seeing all the beautiful and wonders that Hogwarts holds. Basically, near the end of the feast, basically, Dumbledore steps up and pretty much tells them about pretty much another year gone, and he's saying about everything about, the cup, and stating the points of each house. Pretty much third place being Gryffindor. Now, basically, forget what I said. Forget all what I said. Okay, guys, I totally missed this. Basically, what have happened is I got the wrong script. Like, this is way too way too into the future, or like way, you know, forward originally with the what if was supposed to be. I'm gonna be going back. Sorry what I said, guys. Like I really just put this really together really quickly. So basically, Deku would have still been doing the feast, and basically, towards after the feast, pretty much Kirishima would have been looking at Deku. Deku would be confused. So Kirishima, no, sorry, Bakugo would be looking at Deku towards the Slytherin house, and Deku would be confused. Bakugo glaring towards him, but staring off and going back to eating. Now, basically, Deku would have been confused. Kirishima saying, "Don't worry about it. Some kids are just, mean." Basically, Kirishima's brother saying that, but not Kirishima itself. Now, basically, so guys, basically, after the headless or nearly headless ghost is pretty much shown after that event, after the feast and everything, basically, the rest of the students are headed to their houses and pretty much they're sent to their houses. Now, after they pass through the amazing staircase of, Hogwarts, basically they come across Gryffindor's common room, or Gryffindor's pretty much common room, and them going across some sort of portrait of a lady, and that lady asking for the password for the person that's, well, telling them, pretty much the head of Gryffindor. Basically, he tells the password Triffin Chaconus. I think that's what it's called. I wrote it down super fast, and I can't even read my handwriting. So, basically, after they're led through the pretty much door, they are led into the common room of Gryffindor, looking around, seeing a fireplace, multiple chairs, pretty much a bookshelf, all sorts of other stuff. See, pretty much Deku's eyes filling with amazement, looking around. Now, basically, all the people in Gryffindor are sent in, and basically, Deku does bump into Momo. Basically, Momo saying, "Watch yourself." And more of us, not really a mean voice, just calm, kind of like a sweet voice. Basically, not really a sweet voice, just a calm voice, not really mad or just neutral. Now, for basically Kirishima actually bumps into Mina and actually talks to her for a few minutes, but our conversation getting cut short after, or when the pretty much the instructor pretty much tells them, or the pretty much the head of Gryffindor, or their leader, or I don't even know his name. What was it? Kirishima's brother explains everything to them. Now, basically, the students are told where the girls' dorms are and the boys' dorms are. You're getting told that all your rooms already have all your belongings there. Now, basically, they all go to their rooms. Now, that night when Deku is pretty much the night when, they get reset to their rooms, pretty much Deku was just standing there, looking out the window, petting his green owl, and us getting switched on to the next day. Next day, and their first class begins. Now, basically, on the first class, Kirishima and Deku are actually late. Not really late, they just come in pretty late after everybody else has already came in. And them running in exhausted, basically them sitting down. Now, basically, when they get into the pretty much classroom, they're about to pretty much sit down when pretty much Kirishima says, "We made it," looking at the empty chair in the classroom, saying, "I can't believe, if the mistress saw us, basically show up late. That would be a bummer." Basically, the cat on the desk transforming into the mistress. Now, basically, Deku pretty much smacks Kirishima on the head, saying, "You just had to say it." And basically, Kirishima is saying after that, "Don't hit me," and also coming towards, or pretty much spending his attention back at the mistress, saying that was bloody brilliant. Pretty much talking about the whole entire transformation of the cat. Now, basically, they show up late, and basically, the mistress just, talks to them the same, saying to sit down, and pretty much walk off, and goes on with the lesson. Now, basically, Deku would have been, listening through the lesson. Basically, him having a slight flashback, because, unnecessary anime flashbacks are the best for some reason. Now, basically, Deku basically having, a flashback, and basically the flashback being about Deku, and basically the first time Deku ever felt, powerful when he was about 10. He was pushed down when he was about like 9 or something, and he was pushed down by his adopted older brother, and basically for one moment his power or his quirk activated, and green lightning flowed through his hands, and he felt like he was about to, take down his brother. When he was snapped out of it, when next class starts. Next class starts, and pretty much Professor Slytherin and pretty much shows up to teach everybody about the dark arts, or, potions. Now, when they're in class, basically, Deku is writing in his book, and basically, him being stopped when basically Slytherin, or Professor Slytherin, stops him saying, I'm saying some people in this class are so confident in their abilities that they fail to pay attention. Basically, them, talking and him pretty much not really humiliating, but asking Deku questions that he doesn't know. That, obviously, Momo, the know it all, knows. Now, basically, Momo basically tries to hold her up her hand, trying to, answer the question for Deku, but Deku being answered the questions over and over, saying that he doesn't know any of them, or the answers to any of them. Now, basically, Deku just sits there, and pretty much the class goes on. Now, during the, whatever, basically we get switched on to now it gets switched on to lunch, or I don't even know what. Basically, them getting in the main hall, and basically us getting switched to what was it? Mina instead of that other kid, pretty much trying out a spell, but it blowing up in her face, saying that the spell just blown up, trying to turn a glass of water into rum. Now, basically, for pretty much what was it? For everybody else, basically, they hear chirping, and basically, Kirishima says Mel's here. Now, basically, they could be confused with pretty much owls coming on, or coming near with notes in their hands, packages, and stuff like that. So, basically, as the Mel shuts in, pretty much Deku asks for the, pretty much newspaper, or the borrow the newspaper from Kirishima. Kirishima saying, okay. And basically, him reading out the paper saying that a vault that him and Hagrid went to was, the news, it was on the front page, and basically it getting told about how it was emptied or it was stolen, but it's just jesting, and them pretty much insisting that nothing was stolen or taken from the vault. Now, basically, them being switched off, and now we get switched on to the next class after everybody looks at the pretty much, Mel. Basically, them being switched on to Quidditch class. Now, basically, Deku being in Quidditch. Now, basically, not really Quidditch. Basically, they're just, do flying lessons. Basically, them being told to, cast up your, broom. Pretty much they're told the first thing you do is hold up your left hand over your broom and say up. Deku does it on the first try perfectly, and basically the rest of the students are pretty much mainly Momo next to Deku were kind of shocked that Deku can, cast up that broom with such ease. But basically her trying, and multiple of them, getting it, Bakugo getting it second, and basically Momo still trying, and Kirishima trying it, but him pushing up the stick all the way towards, or the broom all the way towards his face, him getting pushed back not off his ground, not off his, feet, but him just getting slapped upside the head with the broom. Basically, Deku chuckling, and Kirishima saying, "Shut up, Deku." And pretty much him, not really him not saying Deku, just saying Izuku. And basically, they would have been, trying. Now, basically, um, when they're told the next, stage of movement and told to mount on your brooms, and after everybody gets their brooms back up and gets their brooms, up, pretty much they're told to mount their brooms and jump off the floor. Pretty much being told, to do a little bit of a hovering and then go back down. But when Monoma tries it, and Monoma's gonna be Corpus. Monoma tries it, and basically he, kicks off the ground, seeing that he just goes straight up and basically just starts going out of control. Now, basically, no, yeah, this is Sugar Rush or Shoto. I know not Shoto. This is a Sugar Rush. Basically, he goes out of control and starts pretty much flying around and flying around. And you should know, like, all the characters are just aged down and all that stuff. So basically, he starts going out of control and starting to fly around everywhere. So basically, after, Sugar Rush is going out of control and falls down and breaks his hand or his wrist or whatever, basically the teacher is told to stay here while she goes on to the hospital wing to, well, escort Sugar Rush, or I just forgot his name, honestly. But basically, he goes on and she says to plant your feet firmly on the ground, and I don't want to see one single room up in the air. Those are caught will be pit out of Hogwarts faster than they could say Quidditch. So basically, basically they walk off. Basically, Bakugo grabbing, or having, and just finding, Sugar Rush's thing, or his myth ball or gift ball or whatever he had on the ground. He picked it up after he dropped it when he was going out of control. Basically, Bakugo starts talking trash about Sugar Rush, saying if he had this, maybe he would remember to, fall down right or actually know how to fly a broom. Now, basically, Deku would have came out of nowhere. Deku would have came and would have told Bakugo, to, give it back and to, stop talking about Sugar Rush. Basically, actually, not even saying it Deku was straight up just, when he shouted, he should have told Bakugo in a man voice. Not a man voice, just told him, angrily, he was gonna fold Bakugo. Now, Bakugo would have told Deku no, and would have said, no, I think I'll leave it at Longbottom for someone to find. And basically, he getting on his broom and flying off. And pretty much Deku grabbing his broom without any type of, talking at all, and throwing it up into the air, jumping on it, and starting to fly on. Basically, chasing after Malfoy. Now, they would be flying, and no, Bakugo. So they're playing around, basically, and Malfoy says, and Bakugo says, you're really suck at this whole entire broom thing. Basically throwing it up in the air, and Deku going after it, but Malfoy, Bakugo using a slight bit of his quirk to pretty much blow Deku off his balance, and Deku about to fall to the ground, but before Deku can fall to the ground, he grabs his balance and pushes off the ground, basically him using his quirk a little bit, not knowing it, boosting the pretty much broom's speed and flying up at incredible speeds. Bakugo slightly moves out the way, only barely to get hit on the shoulder by Deku. Now they start flying around, and basically Deku eventually gets close enough, and pretty much Bakugo goes straight down, making Deku go up against the building. But Deku throws his broom, and his broom goes straight up, but when he uses his magic to basically enhance the strength in his legs and mimic One for All, and basically him running up the stairs. Running up the wall that he, felt, or the building, or the part of Hogwarts that he was about to crash into, him running up it like Flash. Not just running up it, him basically just mimicking, the same abilities that Deku has in One for All. Basically, with his magic, he can just mimic all the powers One for All has. Basically, Deku just doing that. And basically, Deku started to run up the building, Flash style, and jump off of it, or Spider-Man style, jump off of it, and basically fall back on top of the broom and fly after Malfoy, or Bakugo. Him grabbing Bakugo, flying him down to the ground, and then both crashing in the grass.
them wrestling a little bit, and Deku using a slight bit of his quirk to punch Bakugo into the ground. Bakugo blasted himself off the ground back onto his feet. Him using a small enough explosion so no one can notice. Them just thinking he used magic. Then looking at for the wand, Bakugo was using. Bakugo taking out his wand, saying, "I'm going to blow you to smithereens, you nerd." You little, and pretty much Bakugo getting stopped when the teacher comes back. Now basically when he gets back down on the ground, basically the teacher that stopped them was actually not the sports teacher. It was the teacher or the headmistress in the green dress. I literally can't remember her name for the sake of my life. I literally cannot remember her name. I don't think I ever knew her name in the first place. So basically, she tells Deku to come with her and to pretty much come with her. Now basically Deku walks with her and basically walks off. Now basically she still saw Deku, basically seeing Deku not fly towards her window, but him running up the building. So basically, he gets in trouble. So basically, Harry is brought through the pretty much is pretty much walking with the headmistress, trying to save his case, saying I'm sorry and blah blah blah. But her saying to stop it, basically her going into a room asking to see Wood, and basically this would be, I think, one of Kirishima's brothers, or just he would just be, he would just be the younger version of, let's say, I think it would be, so this would be Tokiyami. Now basically, okay, yes, sorry. So basically, Awful Wood would be played or be replaced with basically Tetsu, and Tetsu being in Gryffindor. Now basically, the pretty much the headmistress asks or tells pretty much Awful Wood or Tetsu, can he be a seeker or whatever? He's gonna be a seeker. Basically, pretty much everybody knows by this time that Harry Potter or Zuko Midoriya is going to be pretty much Gryffindor's seeker, or in the Quidditch Cup, a seeker. Now, basically, we switch to basically Kirishima and Deku talking about it. Kirishima saying, "You're gonna be a seeker. This is a big thing." Now, basically, what was it? So basically, basically, pretty much Deku was talking about being a seeker and everything, and basically getting told that some people do not die from, and pretty much from Kirishima's brothers, pretty much saying that some people do vanish occasionally, but they pop up in a couple, 2 months or so. And basically, we get switched back to, pretty much them walking, and pretty much we continue with them walking down through pretty much the outside area of, pretty much Griffin, no, who was it? Hogwarts. Basically, them getting stopped or being told, or them seeing that Momo's walking alongside them. Momo's telling them pretty much about how you won't make a fool of yourself, Deku. Pretty much saying is in your blood. Her pretty much leading them towards the pretty much trophy case near the hallways. Basically, showing her that Deku's father used to be a seeker too. Basically, a flat saying it. And basically, Kirishima says, "You never told me your father was a seeker." But basically, Deku's saying, "I didn't know." Now, after they start, pretty much, after they are done talking about or seeing pretty much Harry's father's plaque, pretty much they walk off. Pretty much, Kirishima telling about Deku that it's kind of creepy that she knows more about you than you do. Pretty much Deku's saying, who doesn't? Now, basically, them getting, startled after the staircase starts to move. And basically, Momo's saying, after both of them are kind of confused, Momo, the one saying that, the staircases are moving. And, obviously they are, because, we were told that would happen, near the beginning of the, Hogwarts trip. So, I don't understand how, Harry and Harry could be so stupid, but enough of all that talking. Now, basically, the staircase moves towards a door, and basically, you go through the door, And basically, we get hit with a weird looking statue, but we skim through that. And basically, now when they're walking in there, pretty much Kirishima says, "Does anybody feel like we shouldn't, be in here?" Now, basically, they're about to leave after when the torches go off. When they pass by it, basically they're about to leave. But when they see pretty much Pelch's cat behind them, and basically they start to book it. They start to just book it, and Deku actually using a little bit of his speed. Now basically, Deku has figured out how to turn it on his quirk, but if he can lose control or he gets angry, his quirk just turns on automatically. So Deku is running off. At this point, Deku thinking about it and knowing that he can make himself stronger and faster using his quirk. Him knowing it's against the rules, but him seeing that, it's not really a big deal, and also it's not really that showing. So he can just use it. He can just use it in certain, quantities. Basically, him running, seeing that his eyesight is getting better with him using his quirk. He takes his glasses off and put them in his pocket, the pocket of his robe, and they pretty much hide from the cat. Basically, they get to a door and they say we gotta hide in this door, and basically, pretty much Deku trying to open it, him about to use his super strength to try to pull it open, but pretty much, him not trying to show his powers off and not trying to use quirk in public or like trying to use it, like use it. Him pretty much just saying it's locked, and pretty much Momo saying get out the way, pretty much about using a spell to open it up. Basically, when they get into the door, pretty much, Momo and Kirishima are talking about, spells and about, like, why was the door even locked? Basically, Deku saying, in a quiet voice, saying, I think this is why the door was locked. Seeing a three-headed, ginormous, like, about, like, at least, like, I mean, like, just a big, like, Hades type of dog with three heads, and it's sleeping. So like, it looks pretty bad. Them in a locked room with a little monster dog, and basically them just standing there. Now, basically they look at it and it wakes up. Deku steps back and basically it looks towards them, and they start screaming, and the dog growls and starts barking at them. Pretty much the dogs try to bite them or try to kill them, basically them running out the room and about to shut the door, all three of them pushing their hardest, but Deku using a little bit of his power in his left arm, pretty much pushing it shut with just one push, and the rest of them being kind of confused on how the door just shut like easily, really fastly. Now they would have backed up, and Deku would have locked the door, saying, "I think we're good." The door pounding and him stepping back, but them not going. The dog's not getting through. So basically, they walk off and they eventually find themselves towards the main or the pretty much common room towards the Hogwarts house. Basically, them getting to the Hogwarts house and basically, well, them getting to the Hogwarts house and basically, Momo's saying, it wasn't about the dog. Basically, but Kirsten going on about how that thing shouldn't be locked in a skull. Pretty much, that thing should not be nowhere near a skull. Basically, Kirishima being told by Momo saying, well, did you see what's underneath his feet? Basically, Kirishima saying, I wasn't looking at his feet. I was more scared of, it was gonna bite my head off. Basically, Momo saying, it's gonna be fine. And basically, Momo still has her quirk and everything, but I'm not gonna make her use it in, like, certain situations. Now, basically, Kirishima was saying I was more focused on his three heads trying to bite me and kill us. So basically, her explaining about how it's underneath some sort of door, or it's over some sort of door. Pretty much after, she stops talking, pretty much saying, oh, I'm gonna go sleep before you guys hatch up a plan to try to get us killed, or worse, expelled. Pretty much her walking off, storming back into her room. And pretty much, in my retrospect, Momo a pretty good person, but like, we got a bit of retrospect. I have to say, I would have to say that Ochaku, I have to say, Hermione Ranger in the first couple movies when she was younger, she was a my gosh, bro. I just wanted to punch her in the face, man. She was so freaking annoying. But yeah, so basically, after that whole situation, now later on, the next day, pretty much Peter goes out with Kirishima, no, Tetsu to basically goes outside near the Quidditch area with Tetsu to train with pretty much Quidditch. Now basically Tetsu is gonna be about 16 because like he's supposed to be older, or like Awful Woods is supposed to be older than Potter or Harry. So basically, so basically, Harry does pretty good on the first try. Basically, him being told the basics of Quidditch. Now, basically, he would have been told about how it's two seekers and it's a seeker and a keeper, and also it's a pretty much guardian. Also, each team has 7 players and blah blah blah. Him getting told all the 3 types of balls, and basically him doing pretty good on his first try. Now, basically, as Tetsu's complimenting Deku on how he'll be he'll probably be a good beater, but basically him being cut short when the ball comes straight back, hitting Tetsu in the chest, but Tetsu for self-defense turning himself into the still, showing him skin into still, him catching the ball and putting it back into the case, him locking up the ball. And basically he's told what a secret does, and it goes out after the stitch. Now basically Peter, pretty much, Potter or Deku sees the Snitch in action, and starts flying around. And basically, Tetsu looks around, and pretty much the Stitch flies off. And basically, well, we're shown what the Stitch can really do. So basically, we skip on to the next class of Deku having pretty much them learning about floating objects, Logadium Leviosa, whatever. Basically, Momo getting into an argument with Kirishima about how you're doing it all wrong, and saying it's Logadium Leviosa, like a obnoxious little man. I want to just punch. Man, I hated. I know some people hated, Hermione Ranger as well when she was younger, and she was annoying. So yeah, but I feel like she should have turned Momo into Ochaku, because like I wouldn't mind Ochaku being annoying, because she isn't annoying per se in the anime, but like a lot of people give her shade for some reason. I don't know, and it's like about a video, but like send me that video link, because I do not know why everybody gives Ochaku shade. But basically, after Momo tells, pretty much, does it, and pretty much proves Kirishima wrong, Kirishima being kind of angry, putting his head on the ground, putting his head on, the book, and basically Deku being kind of, shocked by this, but also him trying it, and him using a little bit of his quirk to imbue the wand with more magic than a wand can take. His wand is like slightly getting bent, not bent, but slightly getting, if he, overloaded, pretty much the wand going over power limit, and the wand basically pushing the feather all the way up, like at a huge speed, the feather wing tip going through the ceiling. Now, basically, the teacher's kind of confused, but we get switched on to the next class. Now I'm gonna leave it off here, guys. So, guys, I'm leaving it off here because originally I was gonna make this video an hour long, but I have like a long day tomorrow, so I have to cut this a little bit short. But I hope when it comes out, it might be like, I don't know, 30 or 20 minutes long. So basically, guys, part 2 is gonna be at least an hour, or at least like 40 minutes. So basically, I want to at least make part 2 longer than part 1, because part 2 is going to be continuing on this part, but also is going to be continuing based off the events of basically Harry Potter's second movie, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So guys, basically this is where I'm going to leave it off, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope you guys like and subscribe. As always, guys, have a blessed day. And as always, guys, wait, before I go, guys, I want to ask a question. So guys, basically, do you want to see What If Deku was in Jurassic Park Part 1, or not? And I'm also going to be uploading what if Deku was on Black Air Force One's Activity Part 2, because that's one of my most viewed videos. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna be uploading part 2 of that. If you haven't seen part 1, go see it. Go check it out real quick. Just go on, the tab, click in my oldest or my most popular videos, go down and you'll see it. So, and that was before I made thumbnails. So yeah, so I'll see you guys later. Bye. As always, guys, have a blessed day. Hey guys, this is Future Deku real quick. Basically, editing this in. Basically, what I'm gonna be do. Basically, originally I was saying this video might not be 1 hour long, but it actually is. So yeah, yeah. So bye.